Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Welcome back everybody to Painting Watercolours with me, Colin. I've chosen this one today and it actually comes from an old photograph that I took down the Goit Valley where I live, and I'm only interested in sort of this bit. So we'll be taking it from basically the centre. I'll give you a rundown of the colours I'm going to be using for this one. Naples yellow, cadmium yellow light, magenta, French ultramarine, burnt sienna and burnt umber. And this is only a colour suggested palette, you don't have to use it, you can use your own colours. And I've just dried off the tips of the trees where I might not want the paint to get into just yet. So I'm going to create a bit of a light with some Naples yellow. Into that I might even just drop some cadmium yellow light, maybe a touch of magenta flowing through that. You see how the magenta greys the yellows. Don't want too much of this. You're basically using a red, yellow and a blue. Into this I want to take some French ultramarine. I just want to really keep this quite pale. I want to create like a summer sky. Careful when you come up to the yellow. You can bring them together but don't really let it mix. Very gently. Take some burnt sienna into that. I just want to grey some of this slightly down. It really is just a plain simple sky. I say thank you to all my subscribers over the years that have stuck with me. I'm going to throw some of the Naples yellow in here as well. It's just getting colour on the paper. So that I just want to shoot some burnt sienna into it. Always trying to leave some of the underwash to show through. I think we'll come round here and I'll just add a little bit bright to that. Just drop some in around here. Just a bit of green for now. I've tried off around the river area. It sort of just gives you a starting point. I think we'll just drop a little bit of burnt sienna into this as well. I want to run a little bit up the path. And into this I'm just going to take a kitchen towel. Just give it a bright spot. Then I'm going to leave that to dry. Now that's dried, there's a lot of green in this picture and I don't want that much green in it, to be honest, so we will change it slightly. And I'm just going to put this background set of trees in here, and I'm just dropping some burnt sienna into that greeny colour. I just want to send this into the background. I'll take a mop brush, bring some colour over here, take some of that green. I just want to drop this in, just to create this bush in the back, but I don't want it too strong. I do want to add a little bit more burnt sienna to it as we come further down. And I'm using a mop brush for this, it's really simple. Do want it quite earthy, burnt sienna. I want this one to be green, and maybe this one here. I haven't quite made my mind up yet. But like I say, these are like a supporting actor in a movie. Show you cadmium yellow, and this is straight from the tube. Burnt sienna. Just along the tops, just add a little bit of this in. This will soften. Just using the tips of the brush. And I do want these bushes to stay separate. So I'm just using the mop brush and I'm just touching the paper just where I want this murky yellowy green to come through, just to show a little bit. There's a little bit of blue in that. See how I've got a mixture of different colours I can dip into. This I can add the next darker colour into that, allowing some of the other colour to stay where it is. Just doing some burnt sienna to this sort of bluey green here. Just keep adjusting it. Just create a little darker colour. And this will just help separate the growth of the tree. Maybe just a little dark along the bottom. Try to break the edges up a little bit. Now a lot of this will run together, but I don't mind that on this one. The yellow and the burnt sienna is quite thick. Now I do want to add some yellowy green. I don't want too much on the brush. I'll break it open. And you can start to just bring some of this out. Pull it forward a little bit. Take some of the darker green. A little bit of the thicker colour that I want to lie in, which is just a cadmium yellow straight from the tube and burnt sienna. I want to bring some of this down, sort of giving the shape of the bank. Once again I'm going to take some damp brush with a little bit of water on the tip of it, and I'm just going to soften this back in. Take a little bit of the yellow. I want some bright spots on this really. There's a little bit too much paint on the brush. That's just a bit of the cadmium yellow mixed with some of the French ultramarine and a tiny bit of burnt sienna. You begin to build your tree out here. Constantly moving the brush. Add some more French ultramarine to that to make it darker once again, with a touch of the burnt umber in it, just to flatten it. When I say flatten it, it's just to take the glare off the colour. I just want to soften some of this in and allow it to come together. I'm just going to fade that in there into the bank. I want to take a little bit more of that colour and just add a bit more brown to it to make it an earthy green. It's all done with the mop brush. Bring some in over here towards the path. And I also want a little bit of dark underneath here. just along the riverbank. Take some of that once again. I'm just going to add a little bit of structure to it, even though you can't see any structure on the photograph. This will just add the interest to it. I'm just using the river brush. So come round here. As we come forward, I'm just adding a little bit more green. I'm just using the tips of the brush once again, shaping the bank. Once again, just touching some of this in. Just creating some dark patches in it. Remember, this will dry lighter. I think we should bring some colour into the path now. So I'm just going to take some of this burnt sienna and we're going to put it in here along with some burnt umber. And I'd like a little bit of blue in that, I think, as well. So as we come up here, I just want to pale this out, just giving it a look of recession. Maybe even just a spot of magenta. We'll put some pebbles in and things, I think. I'm just scraping some pebbles and things that are stuck into the path. And you want to let that dry. Now we've got it that far, let's try and put some of the water in before we come back to the path and finish that off. So it's just basically the sky colours, and at this point in the river Goit, this is a slow moving part. All horizontal strokes this, and I'm just putting in some yellow, Naples yellow and cadmium yellow light. I do know there was a little bit of magenta in. I'm going to throw that in down here. I'm going to take some French ultramarine, get a little touch of burnt sienna. If you don't hit the colour right first time, you can always darken it, but it's a bit of a devil to lighten it once you've got it too dark. So let's just get a little bit of this in. And even if you hit the yellow, it doesn't really matter if it turns green. Put some reflections in from this tree. It's a little bright. Reflections in there. Reflection here. Pencils from even burnt umber. These are all horizontal strokes. Just dropping in some deep pools. Just dropping in some cadmium yellow. Just feeding the reflection, that's all. There's a bit of dark along where the shoreline is. Always trying to leave some of the colour that you've put on before showing through, and I don't think I want to go any further with that, so I'm going to leave that to dry. Okay, once the river was dry, I just put some scratch lines in with a craft knife and a ruler. I'm just going to put some grasses in along here. So I'm going to use the mop brush for this. Like I said, this photograph was mainly green, but I've changed it because I don't want it to be too much green sometimes. Bring this into the path. I'm just using the tips of the brush and just flicking up. Just swapping from different coloured greens, different strengths. I think that's all I want to do with that. So I've just put some birds in the sky, and now this is where you get to sign it, mount it and frame it. Hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please click the like button and subscribe. Join me on Facebook. I will leave the link in the description box, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.